Hysteric Sky here. So, this is kind of a weird. Oh, my drums are echoey. Sorry, this is kind of a weird topic, but I was a little angry today because of something that happened, and I decided I would like to tell you about it. So, I decided to go to my high school to visit my best friend today, although I didn't get to see her because I was running kind of late and I ran into a weird people on the way there who kind of stopped me and stuff. It was just a weird day. Anyway, so I was hanging out with a couple friends at the school that I wasn't necessarily close to. A lot of them were closer to acquaintances than they were to friends. But we were just kind of all chilling and hanging out and having fun and stuff when one of the girls' moms came into the school and basically screamed at her because she didn't go to seminary, which it's I live in Utah, and so the majority of the population is LDS or Mormon. In fact, I considered myself Mormon until about a year and a half ago. It's pretty recently that I decided to leave the church. So I'm all up in like what's going on and stuff. So her mom came in and yelled at her for not going to seminary, which is kind of like school, but church during school. So it's like a separate class that's like completely separate from the school. It's in a different building. It's in a church building that's next to the school. And it's like the normal time of class. It's like basically just a normal class except for you learn church stuff. So apparently her mom had gotten like a call or something. I don't know what was really happening, but for some reason this really, really pissed me off. And about like an hour ago I had one of those like, oh, I should have said that moments where I was just kind of going through my head all the cool things that I could have said. And so I decided that since I couldn't say it to her, I'll say it to you. Not necessarily like saying like I'm speaking to you kind of thing. I just wanted to share with you what my thoughts were on the matter and just the general idea of what was going on, not necessarily just pertaining to seminary or church. So first I want to tell you about church and why it bugged me that her mom was so angry about this. I heard from the girl that I was hanging out with that her mom makes her go to seminary, which isn't okay in my opinion. LDS is a Christian religion, and they teach so many principles in the church that so many members decide not to follow, which really bugs me. So I understand, like, by my appearance and everything, you know, like the black lipstick, the crazy hair and stuff, my new cat ears that my mom got me, and the fact that I'm literally wearing a shirt that says proud to be God-free, I figure if I had said something, she might not have really listened to me, the mom. But keep in mind that I actually entered the temple and did temple work when I had bright pink hair, and nobody really questioned it because it's not really about your appearance. It doesn't say really anything against it in the church, like necessarily. Like it doesn't straight up say like you're not allowed to dye your hair and like you're not allowed to wear like crazy clothes and stuff. Like, so there wasn't anything against it, but the fact that so many people who practice Mormonism are so against that really gets to me. And not only because I live in a community that's mostly Mormon, so I get a lot of judging, it's just the fact that it's happening in general, because so much of what the church teaches is not to judge people and to be nice to everybody. Like, one of the very first songs that you learn as a kid in the church is Jesus said, love everyone, treat them kindly too. So like, I don't understand why that slips adults' minds when they start to have children of their own, and it really bugs me. So first of all, it bugs me that her mom was being so forceful about it. Because religion is something that's not necessarily to be taken lightly. It's something that can totally change a person's life for either better or for worse. And some people may prefer to not really practice a religion. I kind of consider myself weirdly in between. Like, I don't consider myself to any one religion, but I do have my beliefs. They don't really fit anything that I've found so far. The closest that I've found so far is Lavan Satanism, which I like, but the only difference is that I actually do believe in a God, which Lavan Satanism you don't. So it's kind of like I don't really fit in anything. So it's just weird. I don't really understand why there's such a big deal around religion, because it's always a personal experience. Always. So I don't get why people try to make it so public or so like family oriented and stuff. Like it doesn't really make sense to me. So anyway, the fact that her mom was making her participate in a church activity, and the fact that it was forcibly instead of like gently like suggesting it, really bugs me, because that goes against everything that the church stands for. You're not supposed to force somebody to do something that they're not comfortable with doing. Like, I understand if you want your child to practice the same religion as you, but you don't have to force them to the point where you are tracking them down in the school and shouting at them. Like, honestly, that is way too far. And I don't even know what to say about it, because it's just so stupid. Like, I don't know. Anyway, point is, don't force your children into religion. Just, if they want to find a religion, they can find it on their own. They can see what you practice and maybe like get into it. Never force your children to be in the same religion as you. Like, that is just not okay. Which brings me to the second point, which I think is the most important, that I have been thinking about a lot lately. In fact, what got me thinking about it was this Tumblr post, but I haven't been able to find the post. I liked it a couple weeks ago, and I like a lot of things, and so I couldn't really find it, and I couldn't really remember it word for word, so I couldn't look it up. But it was basically saying that some stuff that parents need to remember. Kids are not just your property. They're literally their own people. You brought them into this world, but that doesn't make them yours. And that's really something that so many parents slip their minds. Like, your child is not your slave. Your child is not your property. Your child is another human being, and you don't need to treat them like they're yours. Like, you bring the child into this world and like stuff, and they're under your supervision until basically society believes that they're old enough to be okay on their own, which is generally around 18 years old, unless you get emancipated first, which is where you prove that you can be okay on your own without that help. So it's just, I see so many of my friends just having such horrible lives just because of the way that their parents treat them. And like, my parents have always been really chill. Like, I've had my moments with them, like, as if you were there before I took the video down, I've had a lot of hard times with my dad. We don't really get along very well, like, but that's okay, you know? But the thing is that so many parents are trying to control so many aspects of their kids' lives. Like, I've even seen 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds on Facebook talking about that, like, when they have kids, like, they're not gonna let them listen to this certain kind of music just because they don't like it. Like, that's not your decision. Your entire purpose for having a child is bringing a new life into this world, and your entire purpose of their adolescent years is to guide them and teach them how the world works, teach them how to deal with the way the world works, teach them how to be good people. And usually kids learn by either experience or, I forgot the word for it, but it's basically, oh my gosh, this is gonna really bug me. But by seeing what you're doing and wanting to copy that what the flip is that word? I have no idea. Anyway, This is bugging me too bad. Sorry. Sometimes my camera turns off on me. Anyway, but the whole point is that kids, they don't learn by force. That's just not how it works. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not how it should work. And the more you force a kid, the more they're gonna want to rebel from you. So it's easier to just kind of be chill. Like my parents, they've been letting me dye my hair since I was in 8th grade, which is when I started wanting to dye my hair. Like it was just a fun thing. Like, yeah, I wasn't allowed to get piercings or tattoos until I was 18, but that's understandable because I could see myself having made a lot of kind of rash decisions, like in the moment decisions when I was younger, because I hadn't had enough experience until then. Like I said, kids learn by experience. But it makes it so much better in a weird way to have to wait for something that you really want, like this, my vertical labret, or labre, or however you say it. I say it vertical labret. I'd been wanting it for 5 years before I got it. So it's totally worth the wait, and that's how I feel about like all my tattoos and stuff. Like nothing about them has changed from when I wanted them. And it's just, I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting way off topic. So the whole point of me making this video was to say, basically all parents out there, all people that are going to be parents in the future, all people that are, I don't know, maybe have been parents in the past and kind of want to learn what they did wrong, I guess. Just remember that kids are not your property. They're not your slaves. They aren't somebody who can go get all of your food for you and bring it to your bed and then clean your entire house and basically do everything around the house for you just because you want to sit on your butt all day. Because that actually happened to a few people actually that I know, but specifically one that I was really close to. And just like Sarah, my best friend, she's constantly in her house. She's not allowed to leave her house. She's not allowed to hang out at other people's houses. It's very rare that you can actually hang out at her house. She can't take the car without permission. She has to go home right after school, picked up by her mom. Her mom comes into school and talks to all her teachers. And like even past that, like just we talked about how her mom like wouldn't even like let her move out until she was married and just all this stuff. Like, your child is not your property. Understand that? Okay, like you're bringing the life into the world, but that doesn't mean that it's yours. Like I've repeated that so many times because you need to get that into your head. And like, I know I'm not really one that's good to be saying this because I had such, like, my parents were so chill about everything, and my parents were really nice, which is part of the reason why I think that I've grown up to be as strong as I am, because I've seen what happens to other people, and that doesn't happen to me, and it's kind of a very interesting experience to see, like, how different people's parents act. But just, your purpose is to encourage, not to control. That's a good saying. I should write that somewhere. Anyway, but just don't force your kids. Like, never, ever, ever is it okay to force your kids. Like, especially like going places. Like, I absolutely hate Park City now. It's like this super popular place that everybody goes and stuff, like, but I hate it with a passion. Because my parents forced me to go there against my will so that they could help with my anxiety, because they didn't realize that forcing me into a situation where I'm anxious will not actually make it better for me. They didn't realize that. In fact, I didn't even realize that until this year, in 2014. This happened 9th grade? So 2010? 2011. It happened in 2011, so 3 years ago. And to this day, I am still upset about it. Constantly, like, I remember that. Kids remember that. Like, I remember every time my parents have forced me to do something. I remember every single time my parents have said something horrible to me. Like, I freaking remember when I was like 6 and my dad forced me to eat meatloaf even though I didn't like it. Like, these things stick with us. You're raising the next generation. Do you really want to do it that way? Because I sure wouldn't. Like, you don't want to just give them everything, but you also don't want to force them to have everything that you want them to have. It's just not okay. Don't force your kids. Your kids are not slaves. Your kids are not your property. Remember that.